Chapter 7, Chapter 7, Facility Construction, Introduction, Startup, Pre-construction, Conference, Notice to Proceed, Submittal, Quality Control, Contractor Quality Control, Construction Instruction, Construction Inspection, Construction Surveillance, Quality Indicators, Quality Assurance, Construction Agent, Resident Construction Manager, Program Overview, Resident Construction Manager Authority, Resident Construction Manager Responsibility Schedule, In Progress Costs Control, Cost of Status Work, Cost of Status Report, Work in Place Report, Change and Claim, Detail Report, Value Engineering Chain Proposal, Construction Contract Modifications, Managing Modifications, Construction Contract Modification Funds, Program Amount, Threshold Limits, Large Construction Programs, Construction Management Plan, Management Meetings, Quality Assurance Plans, Key Ingredients, Architectural Engineering Responsibility, Operation Maintenance and Testing, Operation and Maintenance Manual, System Testing, Training, Operation Maintenance Personnel, System Startup. 7, Pre-final final inspection, Design Deficiencies, Construction Deficiency, Joint Occupations, Department of Defense 1354, Facility Accepting, Beneficial Occupancy Date, Warranty XX as in built drawings. 8, Intensity Managed Projects, Financial Chart, Request for Information Chart, Change of Order Chart, Claims Chart, CPM, Network Schedule Design, Tree Analysis, Actions, Items, Charter, Special Charts, Land, Comprehensive Interior Design, Construction Interior Design, Preparing Minutes, Claims, Physical Completion, Financial Closure, Post-occupancy evaluation, lessons learned. Department of Defense Form 1354, Transfer, Acceptance, Real Property, Federal Acquisition Regulation, FARS Supplement, Air Force Supplementation Reference, Air Force Interior Design. Chapter 7, Facility Construction, Introduction. The goal of the Air Force Program Manager is to construct complete, usable, quality facilities and the user needs of time and within budget. That during the construction, the Air Force Program Manager must stay on top of the following throughout the thousands of details involved with the meeting of the project goals, must continue to provide information as part of the management team, must be keeper participation in executing control change. The Air Force Program Manager needs to know whether the product stands, whether it is going, and since the information is to product, the Air Force Program Manager must always have ways to not only portray current project status, but also forecast construction costs on quality. The construction phase of the project received the most attention from the user, since they can see the project achieving the project and the potential source of the change requests, just as the modification is absolutely necessary to successfully project and satisfy the user. Excessive and unnecessary modifications may adversely impact both the user and the project. The Air Force Program Manager must constantly make the judgments about the potential changes in their impact, the schedule and or other construction work, funding of the phases, requirements, government furnished equipment, government furnished materials. Air Force Program Manager actions provide with the cost of control, schedule control, quality control, successful management of the cost and schedule, quality and manager compatibility, user satisfaction. Indeed, a tough challenge, meeting the challenge successfully with the objective of delivering the quality facility, meeting the user needs and on time within the budget. Alright, 2, Startup and Pre-construction Conference. The Pre-construction Conference, sometimes referred to as the construction agent as the Pre-performance Conference, is meeting held with the job site, established local ground rules, both covered the labor standard causes, not covered by base regulation, but by contract documentation that are related directly to contracting actions, interaction with the base, intended shown to included with the construction agent, representative of the major command, the base civil engineer, users of the base, fire protection, flight, and environmental management, bioenvironmental engineering, security, police, safety, and communication organizations. Alright, reconstruction of the conference is not to discuss potential change requests. The construction agent conducts the meeting of the Air Force Program Manager should prepare with the address into such a phasing of the government furnished equipment and materials items coordinated with the restricted access, restricted areas, resolve issues such as pre-construction conference presented with the unified government position in the contractor's presence. The Air Force Program Manager roles at the conference to ensure the Air Force interest in the resource is protected, but the pre-construction conference is not a time to discuss potential change of the request. The most important step to cover ensure the success of the project of the partner key stakeholders should identify for each of the following groups: the user, architectural engineering, the construction agent, and the contractor. These individuals should agree to meet on a regular basis to identify the resolve the problems as quickly as to the satisfaction of the team members. Use the partner, elevate the problems such as delayed submittal of the question of the Air Force needs and tool to keep on the project on the track. Reverse these questions on the government pre-meeting. Notice to proceed with the instruction contracting officer. The contractor start the work of the notice authorizes the contractor to spend more money to establish the start of the data of the conference of the performance period. The Air Force Program Manager should participate in fixing the data and ensure the base contracting engineer users are ready to the contractor start, that the start date is consistent with the critical needs date schedule that are important to the project's success. Most contractors will work with the contracting officer base to minimize the user disruption. The construction agents will normally issue the notice to proceed within between 15 and 30 days of the contracting award. Major adjustments to the type and frame can be made with the best interest of the government. However, the excessive delays in the notice to proceed may result in the contractor claim unless the intent of the notice to proceed issue was specified with the bidding documentations. 3. Submittal. The construction contractor will require the contractor to submit the material and equipment data sample to the shop with the drawings prior to the starting of the segment of the work and related to the items involved. The government has the responsibility to provide timely review and the prompt return of submittal with the contractor, otherwise delaying the claims may result. Those items submitted with the Air Force approval need some special attention because of the number of the organization involved with the review process. Review that must be thoroughly accurate and quick, and submittal of the color boards and fire protection operation maintenance manuals are typically approved without major comment or the base. Late, incorrect, incomplete submittals with the contractor can be adversely affected through the job. Just important with the contracting instruction agent, the review process must be timely, responsible, critical items of the contracting schedule. The mass issue encourage the construction agent for the appropriate management level to make the necessary correction. If the construction agent does not make necessary construction, evaluate the concern both of the construction agent management system, Air Force system, philosophy, action taken, working with the construction agent. The important with the issue construction management using parting techniques to solve the problem's nature before the project is adversely affected. 4. Quality control. Contractor quality control. The contractor responsibility inspecting testing and documentation. Those tests and inspecting are required for the contractor to control material quality, workmanship. The contractor is required for the terms of contract to employ the control. Quality control representative of the contractor specifications spell out the detail and the inspection test for the performed with the detail reporting. The construction agent through the quality assurance program oversees the contractor quality control program. The quality can not be inspected with the project, rather the individual assistance workmanship of the overall job that must be directly related with the contractor's reputation, pride, and accomplishments. Although the over-inspection can reduce the cooperation, result in the change for the construction agent is effective with the controlling quality. If difficult to make construction correction, the appearance related to work with the construction near the completion, so bring the issues to the construction agent attention immediately. It encourages the construction agent quality assurance to be aimed to enhance the contractor's pride in order to receive the desired project quality. They may include the quizzing of the contractor quality control personnel, frequently meeting with the contractor superintendent, project executive on quality issues, the checking of the preparatory inspection, and working to include the contractor's quality control. You understand the contractor's quality control enable the Air Force Program Manager become aware of these incidents timely manner and encourage the construction agent with the appropriate management level to make the necessary corrections. See Chapter 9 for further information on non-appropriated funded projects. B. The construction inspection. Continuous construction inspection responsible for the contractor. The responsibility established in FAR 52-240-612 requires the contractor to maintain adequate inspection time before such inspection to ensure the work performed contractor for the contracting requirement. The contractor must maintain the inspection test records, make these available to the government. The government reserves the right to inspect tests and phase of the works. All responsible time with relieving the contractor any responsibility of the contractor compliance. C. The construction surveillance. The contractor instruction agent performs the construction surveillance on the job site, offsite, location, fabrication, location, stored materials. When necessary, construction surveillance differs from inspection. Specifically, technical inspection tests are not preferred. At a continuous basis, those items are responsible for the contractor, Air Force program manager to review the proper project function, overall appearance, and the raise of the contract. Oftentimes, an issue that they affect the Air Force do not discuss and provide with the comments suggested directly with the contractor. Instead, documentate the concerned photos, videos, and notes, and discuss discrepancies. The contractor's office of the contractor office of representatives notify the contracting agent, instruction agent writing required for the job site schedule, cost, quality problem as needed, with the necessity needing the prominent attention resolution. Say Appendix 39 construction surveillance checklist for the recommended checklist surveillance. D. Quality instructions. The following items are the primary indicator of the quality assurance operation. For these indicators are good, the project will probably good overall conditions. If these indicators are not good, the additional Air Force program manager attention must be warranted. For cleanup, for example, off the side of the career list, supervision, workmanship, craftsmanship, overall job cleanup, appearance, and the daily housekeeping, hide art, discipline, other safety issues of materials, storage procedure. Goods project with the appearance of the finished work during the all stages of the construction. This includes masonry, joints, pipe connection, concrete framing, and any other ongoing activity at the time of the site of the visit. E. Quality assurance by the construction agency. Construction agent. The construction agent of the conference and office of the government legal contact with the contractor. The resident construction manager is the construction agent day-to-day representative in the field. Construction agent responsibility for the project of the chart and the construction completion, including action single point contact between the contractor and the government, provided with the quality assurance of the work, reviewing the approval of the submittals, maintain schedule, administrative with the contract, modifying the contract when necessary, generally protecting the government interest, except from is required with the contracting agent, made good communication with the contractor, superintendent, quality control, as improved the project management, effectiveness of the quality assurance of quality control. The contractor is required with the control of the quality, and the contractor agent, instruction agent's right and responsibility in the quality assurance oversight roles to ensure the role of contractor performance with the quality control that is required with the contract. Therefore, the level of the quality desired and expected with the completed project must require the reflected contracting documents in sight with the contracting and instruction agent. Ensure that the level of the quality specified indeed received and nothing less. 5. Resident Construction Manager. A. Resident Construction Management Program Overview. Resident Construction Manager primarily responsible to provide with an on-site project with the locally management with the construction agent, although the Resident Construction Manager also has oversight of the management role and contractor compliance. Project management role of the absolute necessity becomes the simply ensuring the contracting compliance with the really adequate serviceable project design errors for unforeseen conditions, bad weather, emission changes, values, and changes of the but a few of these common issues encountered with the projects. Usually, projects are dealing with such issues, the cumbersome, complex, oftentimes consuming frequently. These procedures lead to escalating costs and schedule growth, as well as user unsatisfaction. Very real opportunity to positively impact the type of the scenario. The real resident construction manager has the unique view of the project perspective of the main interested party. The resident construction manager should acquire with a broad, detailed understanding of all of the aspects of the project. Include the details with the construction schedule with the first hand, the exposure to the job site, the contractor's representative knowledge of the user concerned, potential charges, changes, the immediate potential funding of the picture of the project team, and the players base, and the major common, the construction agent. The resident construction manager has the authority and has the opportunity to become awareness of the issues at the early stage, identify these issues, the right construction team member, the early resolution, the right resident construction manager is most able to facilitate, bring together with the right of the people at the right time to address the right issue. This approach is absolutely necessary to achieve the high degree of the project and user satisfaction. Resident Construction Management Authority. The resident construction manager is responsible for the project management activities, including the construction management plan described below. The authority includes the providing with the instruction, direction, guidance, answering the question of the construction agents. User the major common, the base civil engineering, as long as these actions of the construction agent's authority in accordance with the construction management policy do not approve or disapprove of the construction agent modification construction contract. The representative to the user of the contract change the request for the substantial portion of the Resident construction management responsibility. The maximum efficiency effectiveness is the recommended by the resident construction management be authorized to provide to approve the Air Force change of the request. The Air Force change of the request, whose estimated cost does not exceed the contracting agency's modification authority. Resident construction manager responsibility. The resident construction manager may support large, high technical, complex projects, large numbered projects based within the region for a single project. The authority of responsibility with the resident construction management will describe here and with the construction management plan for the project. In those cases, it is essential for the individuals represent the various organizational and individual construction effort to be present on the site of the resolve. The issues can coordinate with the activities managed for the construction effort. The following general guidelines procedure for the management multiple projects are given with the area of reconstruction. Resident construction manager responsible for the no construction management plan has been prepared. The level of detail of the resident construction management involvement will depend on the number, size, complexity of the project, as well as the geographical constraints of the area of responsibility. The resident construction manager's responsibility during the construction may be included reviewing the contract documentation, constructability, portrayed accuracy with the existing site of the conditions, exclusion and compatibility with the construction phasing requirements, a potential problem that could result in the contractor claim with the contractor change, representing the Air Force interested with the meetings, performing construction surveillance assigned with the contracts, coordinate actual potential obstruction, working with the construction agent, with the base civil engineer, and the user and the organization as appropriate, coordinate with the distribution review, the responsible for the contractor submittal, and identify the Air Force review with the appropriate organization. All Air Force comments should be returned to the contractor through the construction agent, construction agent. Monitoring contracting progress relative to the construction approval, the progress schedule, the ensuring the corrective action is taken in on detected reported deficiencies, reviewing users' change of the request and other projects and related correspondence, initiating the user change with the appropriate review, the proposed construction aid modification, significant impact errors, and ensuring the modification as are with resident construction management authority. Conducting coordination meeting and the briefing of the Air Force construction team leader, requesting immediate assistance, supporting with the parent construction agent office as well as required, keeping the information management system of the PDC or the ACM PM current and accurate, and maintaining other important information such as construction chronology, Air Force construction AFCR, Air Force change of request, modification statuses, construction claim status, control contract status, contracting schedules, project date, delay date, data, construction service notice, the material system test result, any other information pertaining to the management of the project. However, the Air Force project manager should not duplicate extensive detailed recorded records by the resident construction management and the construction agent. Participant in joint occupation, potential occupancy inspection, preparing Air Force requirements for the joint occupancy agreements, participate in final acceptance inspection, and ensure timely accurate transfer of the facility documentation such as built in the record drawings, operation manuals, and testing reports. Department of Defense Form 1354, transfer and acceptance for military real property monitoring, and the completion of the noted deficiencies, taken for the necessary action to ensure the deficiencies are corrected in a timely manner. Coordinate with the Air Force personnel escorting the visitors through the construction site, briefing the Air Force visitors on the project, scheduling, participating in the final reports on the post-occupancy evaluation, maintaining the file record of the photograph, provided with an accurate historical record of the project at the time of the office operation, the preparation and distribution minutes of the review meetings of the project with the headquarters of the U.S. Air Force Executive Review Group in the process. 6. Schedule control. The construction schedule is prepared with the contractor details how the contract completion date will be met. The next 2 years schedule are used by the Air Force construction agent, the military construction contracts, and the scheduled work track progress of the contract of the U.S. Air Corps Engineering. It requires network schedules on the project of the Naval Facility Engineering Command. Allows the option to be using the bar chart with the network scheduling, but both organization critical path method of the network scheduling will allows analysis for the critical activity to overall completion. I want example of the articulal activity may be available to the government furnished equipment for the installation by the contractor. The Air Force program manager should be familiar with logic and mechanical networks scheduling. The advantage of the type of the construction schedule included with the fact that the complex construction activity being broken down into simple tasks and analyzed with the approach that can be made with the most complicated project of that series. Similar jobs analyzing, planning with the what-if games, and simplified with the network scheduling computer-based with the computer agents. While the contracting and instruction agent must approve with the responsible with the contractor schedule, the Air Force program manager should request that any of the schedule provided with the disproportionate amount of the work in the last 2 months to of the contractor. The schedule of the major construction management, the tools identified in the schedule were watch very closely that those areas may be closed. The critical points during the construction and the construction completion date and the slip compare the schedule with the actual construction progress because the contracting should pay but only with the works accomplished for the especially review the status pending the modification of the potential effect of the on the schedule finally questioning the construction agent without the options or the actions just be taken the schedule when the construction falls behind the construction they extend over the head and can also considerable cost. Project the construction completion is delayed but with no fault of the contractor, the contracting officer and the construction agent will be responsible for the review and the approval of the schedule, but the Air Force can require change of the schedule when the mission changes the dictated the network schedule promptly administrator of the construction agent provided with the accurate means of measuring the impact potential charges. Air Force program manager cloud for the contractor tendency to delay submission of the approval schedule that tends to dilute the advantage of being able to estimate the impact of the change in the early period of the construction. The Air Force program manager continually encourage construction agents to obtain the approved schedule that is required by the contract. The change of the work with the work and the time extension of the contractor must be included with the network concurrent with the performance of the changing immediately after the delay. Otherwise, the critical path of the network schedule will not affect the current status of the work performed but the progress attained. In progress cost control. An important cost of an element deals with the keeping and informed with the change of the project with the progressive with the good forecasting and updating the current work estimate during the construction involved with the knowledge of the costing of the day. The project status history change the information essential for determining the cost completed with compared with the budget and the funds available so the decision can be made with the funding overage of the shortage. There are three basic reports through the construction agent may be provided with the show the financial history, status, and the progress of the project at the summary and detailed levels. These reports are called cost status, work in place, and change in the claimed detail report. See Chapter 9 for the, further information on non-appropriated funded work projects. A cost status report. The final status of the report with the conglomerate with the information complied with the construction agent for the major common funds manager with the construction agent construction manager report. The project information contained with the PDC and ACES PM civil engineering project management system from the job site observation. The goal of the report does not only reflect the current financial health of the product but the forecast of the future financial needs as well. Proper cost forecasting should allow the major common funds to manage with sufficient notice for the locating the transfer needs for the construction agent before they actually require, with the result of the forecasting typical either stop the working orders, work deletion, modification. The cost status report compared to the last current the work estimate that finished with the project with the programmed amount, the funded amount with the other official financial limits of the such the point of the amount of the threshold. The reports will include other pertinent financial data, others such as the contract price, executed modification, engineering design during the construction supervision, administration available for contingency of funds for the available amount has been reserved funds and associated costs. The most important inputs with the report proclaimed with the most difficult assets are list submitted with the cost and potential changes on undecided claims. The Air Force program manager along with the construction agent must observe the interaction between the contracting documents of the contract and the resident contract construction manager, the contracting officer, so the price tag may be put on the future costs included with the report. The best and most current information is at the job site, so whether the technique works to ensure the data and accurately updated, especially the detailing with the construction agency above the resident construction management, not knowing the scope of the cost and depending of the items has been caused by the job to stop the need for work detailed to be because the sufficient notice could not be given to the major common funds for manager to obtain the additional funds authority. The cost status and report should be revised monthly, and every time that there is change, stay on the top of the minute following the two cost status items. So update these items in the PDC system in the ACM. ACES PM, and would they be able to answer the funding question each current class position is there current sufficient funding to execute the validated pending modifications. Forecast completion is there sufficient funding to execute the validated pending the modifications to finish the job if they evaluate contingency management reserves. If no, seek the contingency replacement with the unplacement work with requesting additional funds. This is the maintaining as funds with the until the project reach nearly 100% of the completion to ensure unforeseen problems will be funded in a timely manner. B. Workplace and report. The payment of the status report shall be the value of the work rendered with the value projected with either the dollar value with the percentage of the total contract cost. The commonly graphical plot is of the earned and project value against the time of the indicator with the contractor's progress. The customer allowed the payment of the off-site fabrications and for the materials that have been invoiced. Set aside the bondage towards there are two net-worthy observations within the WIP work in place report. Since the work in place report is based on the dollar value, not more man-hour valued activity, the contractor may be behind on the completion schedule because of the lack of the concentration on correctable activities. The actual work in progress exceeds project work in progress may be report may be sure that the payment of the retainage of the deficiency of this allowance of the stored materials off-site fabrication allowance of the construction progress all made sense when the construction was considered together with the remember the leverage of shifting with the contracting of the job of the progress for the so that the Air Force program managers need to remain with continually aware of the cost and being ready defective work with the potential defects of the untested work. C. Change in claim detail report. The control requires that each of the changes of the claim is separately identified, otherwise the control is lost. The detail required for the forecast and completion of the cost files. Summary validated with confirmed changes organized in the number of the total negotiated, canceled, unnegotiated, those within 0 to 60 days, and those over the 60 days. The Air Force program should focus on the pending of the modification validated the change that not be yet negotiated that holding up the work and the causing the work sequence of problems. Every preliminary estimate of the pending change does not have the contractor proposal of the cost summary of the change, the type of the value, and issued and pending change for the change for the pending with the Air Force program manager should know the cost estimating status for each of the proposal action need for each of the assigning the suspense of the potential anticipated change. The request must be scoped, validated, design, and estimated with the contracting officer can be negotiated. Pre-validation cost estimate should be used as part of the scoping of the developing total cost exposure to determine the cost exposure for unresolved claims which have the potential to become the contracting modification request. The construction agent provide with the status detail each of the claim description claimed amount with the associated performance time and the number of the days since the receipt of the contracting officer. Stay on top of the construction agent with the ensure the claim with the $550,000 resolved within 60 days. The meeting are held within the claim quickly as all parties understand the claim with the government negotiation position. Establish if the claims appear to have some merit. The construction agent sometimes negotiations modifications without negotiation time associated with the cost of this item, often lumped in within the time extension modification negotiated with the executed later modifications which ignore the time should be considered with the bomb ready to explode as the final time of the associated with the conducive settlements for the often considerable higher than anticipated pricing of the construction agent negotiated with the time each of the modification unilaterally added time with the appropriate force of discussion with the contractor and do not let the construction agent execute the modification which invite the contractor reopen the negotiations on the modification of a later time. See Chapter 9 for further information on non-appropriated funded projects. The value engineering change proposal. The value engineering change proposals are the contractor's suggestion to reduce the construction costs without sacrificing the project functional requirements as quality based on life cycle cost analysis. The contractor and the government share the savings in the FARS 48104. The value of the engineering change proposals are considered with the construction agent to change the request and must be approved by the major com based on use or before there may be executed modification. But major com has final approval of the value engineering change proposal. Value engineering change proposal may need careful review to ensure that the design objective along functional requirements are not overlooked with the face of initial costing saving. The review must be completed with quickly because of the construction continues to save opportunities may overcome by the events. Also, the contractor's last interest with submitting the value engineering change proposals. If the government cannot be act quickly enough to realize the legitimate savings opportunity. Value engineering is not required by the non-appropriate unappropriated funds. 8. Construction contract modifications. Modifications are negotiated with many contract formalized with the content of the original contract. The modifications will allow equitable adjustment for the contract requirements so that as accommodating different site conditions overseen with the conditions change with the building codes and the criteria of the correction of the area, the omissions, the design deficiency, the value engineering change proposal, delays impact the work of the administrator with the change of the weather, delays, work suspension, additions, deletions within this last list of the follows with the various construction agency changes. Agent changes the Air Force Air Force required Western change modification should be not a significant change for the scope of the work. If the modification represents an increase of degrees of 5% or more, the project must be examined with the game with a clearing understanding while there be very carefully examined with the justified or unfortunately they may cause a delay with the construction throughout this should be avoided. See Appendix 40 for the Air Force and construction agent change request checklist for the checklist regarding the change of request. See Chapter 9 for the further information on non-appropriated funded and projects. The amount of managing modifications are expensive because they are not usually completely competitively bid. They are frequently added at the time of construction schedule. Air Force program manager always use the question requirement, but the modification considers the competitive contract as an alternative method of complete implementation of the major con determines the requirement for the Air Force recommended request to change the construction agent design executes the modification. The construction agent changes the condition. The design errors must be reviewed in the question, particularly with the time extensions are involved. To keep on the top of the modification, the Air Force program manager should track the status plan, push the progress for every possible opportunity. The construction agent should respond within 2 days to smaller modification, review the outstanding modification regularly, and include the length of time to execute those modifications with negotiated without these times. Regularly, once the Air Force program manager must import the task of ensure the use of is not left out of the modification process, especially with the construction agent with the change. The construction agent must manage with the change and keeping up the process so that the Air Force customers sufficient time to line up the additional resources of the funding of the authority and the necessary additional each modification potential to affect the user operational plan with the occupancy date. Occasionally, with the Air Force may elect to define and enhance the accelerated delivery and the meet of the fix with the occupancy requirement. The construction agent executes the modification with little or no coordination. The user may adversely impacted. B. Construction contract modification funding. Contingency fund is provided with the construction agent with the construction contract award with the paid with the mandatory optional change for the not stemming from the Air Force change for the mandatory change for those required for the complete and usable factory facility. Usable facility will actually condition funded with the construction site differ with the plan specification of those needed, but those needed to meet the change with the satisfactory requirement of those needed to correct technical errors of the mission with the planning specifications. Optional changes recommended with the construction agent that are known with the construction agent's change with requests. These requests result with the change of technology since the design completion with the value engineering change proposal disputed with the items between the construction and the contractor and the construction agent will affect the schedule. As a mandatory change, the construction agent change with requests are funded with the project contingency fund account required by the major com approval. Management reserve funds also provide the construction agent with the construction contract award with the most project of these funds are used for support of the Air Force requested modifications. See the figure 7.1. The DM and CM actions for the previously discussed. The modification may be generated with the use of the base civil engineering, higher levels improving the operation and maintenance of the facility and the systems when revised the operational maintenance they can back with the facility's function use the normal 2% of the contract amount of the award is set aside with the Air Force Management Reserve as an account with the construction work site estimate is less than the program amount. The construction agent may use the management reserve for the only with the Air Force program with approval. The Air Force program manager must work to ensure that all force of the change with the absolutely necessary and essential for the safety mission requirements of the facility performance and keeping nice to have changes the minimum. The DCM and ACM, DMC and ACM actions receive fund requests, verify information amount, go to the correction, and if no, with the defensive design agent and construction agent, yes, or from the correction, with the yes or enough management reserves. You have to find if your enough management reserves are pursuing funding. No if it's not pursuing funding, and yes if the authorization of construction user management reserve. The project construction work estimate during the construction summation with the original contracting amount with the executed the modification of the SIOIH and ED with the contingency account with the estimated cost depending on the modification of other construction costs such as the follow of the contract. Each of the contract modification may cause the increase of the construction work estimate cost work estimate. Although the construction agent of the construction cost of the contract is required to report the value of the Air Force program manager in the form of the construction work estimate. The Air Force program manager must continually object to the project financial status information with the construction agent in order to reflect the accurate cost of the finished project. See Chapter 9 for the further information on appropriated funds. When the construction agent contingency account has been exhausted and pending the modification dictated the need of the additional funds, the AFMR account must be used to fund those modifications. But when both the AFMR and the contingency accounts have been depleted, the Air Force program manager may request the replenishment of the accounts of major comm funds. The manager will determine the management reserve of the contingency account will be replenished. The contingency account will be replenished with a level equivalently with 3% of the unplaced construction work plus the pending of the modifications. C. PA. Program amount threshold limits. Congressional reprogramming required with the funding required with greater than 125% of the program amount or $2 million, whatever the less. The major comm and the CE must be signing a request for the congressional regarding reprogramming, identifying the source of additional forces submitted. The request of the headquarters U.S. Armed Forces and U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps for the further action. Air Force program management must stay on the top of the cost of the project, encouraged by the construction agency to submit the information sufficient with the time requested funds in accordance with the current policy, especially with the cost variation reprogramming actions required within all cases have the construction agency submitted with the funds requesting the ridding with the major comm funds project manager accountants. Action. See Chapter 9 for further information on non-appropriated funds. 11. Large construction program. Successful completion of a large construction program requires the effort of the numerous personnel representing various organizations. The degree of successful hinges on other organizations representing the willingness to work toward the common goal as a member of the construction team. The more complex the project, the greater the need for the cooperation that any project today needs to involve the architectural engineering specialties. No individual organization possesses all the knowledge or background necessary to complete the large construction project successfully. The magnitude and diversification of the user interest may make it necessary to have the means of informing the Air Force organization on a continuing basis, status of the project in progress, potential problems, since management tools that must be agreed with upon during construction with the construction management plan and the quality assurance plan, in addition with the procedure with the coordinate with the plan, outage is the facility turnover, inspection, warranty support must be agreed with all construction team members. A. The construction management plan. A large complex for the construction project that typically requires a specific construction management plan. The plan document the procedure for the government and set up for the operation among the various organizations. Identify the described decision making and approval of the process required for the cost control, schedule control, quality control, and the Air Force program manager should prepare this plan, identifying the agency management procedure requirements and coordination channels, project management meetings, and the construction team. The specifically organization responsibility in detail with the construction management plan should be signed with the commander of the construction agent organization, coordinated with the major comm of the base civil engineering user organization. Management meetings. The number of interested organizations make it necessary to have the meetings provided with every one of the project status information for the continuing basis. Coordinate the meetings is an important tool of the managing the project, the controlling costs, resolving the current problems, identifying the potential problems. Weekly, monthly, quarterly, and or meeting frequently are generally recommended with the charts or discussed under intensive of the managed project. See section 13 of this chapter. Need to be prepared with the meeting. The primary purpose of this meeting was indicated with the following table: weekly meetings of the primary information problems of the decision making within the authority provided to discuss the following current problems: simple status modification chain request, quality assurance, quality control, scheduled progress, other pending actions, funding status issuance. Is monthly meeting between the key organizational line listed with the construction management plan to discuss the following project status, funding status, issues requiring the resolution above the authority provided with the weekly and working pro group. The contractor might be invited to discuss the progress achieved during the last 30 days and the plan with the next 30 days. The contractor should not be present for the government-only deliberations, discussion, quarterly meetings for the project review. The commander and executive of the major comm of the base civil engineers user organization attendees should be limited to the executives and principals, directors, directly involved with the project. The purpose is to inform executives and commanders of the project status to get the resolution of the issue for whether there is insufficient authority at the lower levels. The resident construction manager and the parent of the construction manager as construction agent should prepare the distribute the minutes of the monthly with the quarterly meetings. For the coordinated minutes should be distributed within 5 days. The monthly meetings will constitute the record for the projected status actions taken. The quality assurance plan. The Quality Assurance Plan supports the Air Force quality control efforts to ensure the quality control responsibility discussed previously met. The construction agent that prepares the Quality Assurance Plan in conjunction with the construction quality control plan with the following list indicates the sealant features of the Quality Assurance Plan. Inspections assignment of the Quality Assurance Plan should spell out the responsibility of each of the government agencies inspecting the job. The construction inspection of the Quality Assurance Plan should cover the responsibility of the contractor quality assurance inspection team, if applicable, as well as how and when the inspection will be done. Often, inspection of the quality assurance plan should cover any of the requirements that will require the construction agent to go off the side of the inspection. Safety inspection of the quality assurance plan should provide with the goods description of the safety plan inspection program with the covered construction agent will be performing. Inspection record of the quality assurance should be spelled out with requirements. Inspection records of the section individual, the inspection team, the testing quality assurance should be in conjunction with the construction on-track documentation specific with the different testing required within each of the will be performed. Shop drum, the quality assessment assurance plan should be outlined. The procedure of reviewing the shop drawings, operation maintenance instruction with the in-house training. The quality assurance plan should specify the type of the operation and maintenance manuals that are required when training will be provided. The key ingredients. There are 3 primary ingredients essential for the quality facility delivered on the time and within the budget. A clearly defined statement of responsibility authority for all the organization involved. The continued free flow of information among the organization. Outline an attitude with the part of the individual organization that focus on the welfare of the project and not the personnel, individual desires, the image of the agency involved. Alright, 10. The architectural engineering responsibility. The means of the establishing the A&E responsibility is as far as 36609-1, as far as 36609-2, the designing within the funding limitations clause, as far as 52-3622, for the responsibility of the architectural engineering contractor clause, as far as 52-3623, are routinely included with the architectural engineering design contract. The government will pursue an architectural engineering liability case. This is when the construction agent change modification necessary to do the error of the mission, design deficiency by the architectural engineering of the error of the mission, omission will cause the damage, additional cost without the adding of the value of the work. The contracting officer with the construction agent obligation of pursuing the architectural engineering liability of utilizing the fund of the construction supervision administration accounts. The construction agent notification of the architectural engineering must be quickly and minimize the damage to allow the architectural engineering opportunities to propose correction of the architectural engineering, even if neglecting most current of the design error of the mission, the plan, the specifications, to non-additional costs of the government. The A&E can work directly with the contractor to minimize the cost of the government, establish the procured monitoring the construction agent, review the modification of the A&E liability funding required for the A&E, changing the other administrative costs, but they can be returned for the project funds in the correct and still operation. The construction agent should inform the A&E even if the individual items are not concerning damage with the pursued later for the cumulative impact regardless of the outcome. The architectural engineering responsibility determination, documentation, architectural engineering performance regarding the design quality, responsiveness, and the architectural engineering contract administrative support system, or ACAS, managed with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineering for the use and for future architectural engineering selections. In order to find the design, the architectural engineering liability on the following must be answered yes. And this is the construction modification attributable to design error or omission. Does the deficiency stem from the error of the mission by the architectural engineering? Does the error of the mission result from the architectural neglect, failure to meet the standard of the care for the responsible associated with the architectural engineer professional, breach of contractual duty? Have the government's furnace suffered damages as a result of the error or omissions? When the architectural engineer found a liable error and omission, the architectural engineer responsible to correct the design contract documentation paid with the cost the government would have had been designed, been contracted. Example, the cost the architectural engineer had been asked to pay for the tier out of cost and delay schedule and impact cost of the contractor associated with the error of the mission, damage to the construction property associated with the error or omission. 9. Operation, maintenance, and training. Operation and maintenance manuals, ensuring the operating maintenance manuals, system operating manuals, spare part lists, publications describing the equipment and materials, etc., provided with the base civil engineering as required for the contracting specification, ensuring signing the date of receipt with indicating the person off the reason for the manuals received with the place in the project file. B. The system system testing of the training operation for maintenance personnel. The construction agent made sure all the items, all the system that tested in accordance with the contracted documentation. Certain tests in the fire protection system may be required attendance by the business civil engineering, basic core, basic civil engineering, operation maintenance staff, and the other personnel according with the construction agent. Ensure system testing training that has been scheduled in advance to allow the maximum participation and interest with the Air Force personnel. Also require that the construction agent to have the complete operation and maintenance manuals available before testing and training. C. System startup training for the required number of the hours should be part of the construction contract. The Air Force program manager should be ensure the operation maintenance, and they also are allowed to hand on participation as are part of the system startup testing and the training of the. However, they have the construction agent included with the time to allow the operation maintenance manual to turn on and operate all the system so that the problem can be identified with the correction by the contractor for the system complicated with enough to require the training as a permanent record. The Air Force program manager should specify the contractor training with the videotape. 12. The pre-final and final inspection. The project completion approach is the deployment of the base civil engineering. The user will inherit the new facility all those hidden problems and ensure that all the Air Force publication personnel are notified about the date and time, location, pre-final and final inspection. The latest opportunities to ask questions, identify the problems possible for correction by the contractor. The contractor levels the interest with the significant drops when the final contract payment is due. The construction agent will prepare a list of the defects, punch list, and identify during the pre-final inspection will direct the contractor to correct these defects before the final inspection. The Air Force program manager instructs the team members should inspect the punch list items at the final inspection to ensure that they have been properly corrected. Judgment will often be required while the reviewing of the correction made since the yardstick is based on what construction contracted industry standards, not in perfection, using each of the users, especially with the inspection made with the capture during the design and programming. Always note the design deficiencies separately from the construction deficiencies, so the appropriate separate actions can be identified with the construction agent proposed with the independent contract close. 2. The design deficiency. The contractually required to build accordingly to the plan specification, not responsible for the deficiency caused by the errors admission of the design or contract documentation. The architectural engineer and the design agent are responsible for the correction of the design deficiency with the scope of the project. Normally, the deficiencies will be identified during the course of the construction and corrected modification construction contract. However, the items are not identified until the near after contract completion. It may be the best to correct the deficiencies through the separate contract or other purchasing actions. B. Construction deficiencies. The construction deficiencies resolve the workmanship, inadequate inspection, quality assurance, and quality control. Incomplete construction, inferior to damage of materials, unacceptable substitution of material, failure to construct according to the contract plans and specification. If the contractor does not comply with the contracting specification of the drawing, the contractor is responsible for correcting the deficiency. The construction agent follow up with the contractor to ensure the construction deficiencies are properly corrected. The contractor is responsible for latent deficiencies, other deficiencies that become apparent with the construction completion. Even the final release that has been issued with the government craftsmanship and the correct engineering practices are always the key to good construction. Responsibility is not quickly determined with the construction agent with the unilaterally directly the architectural engineering and the contractor to the correct deficiency establish liability to payment the responsibility later. C. There may be occasion with the desire for the Air Force and the third-party contractor the occupancy portion of the new facility prior to the beneficial acceptance of the joint occupancy. The condition may be electively used to enhance the overall outcome of the project. However, the use of the tool often only after the various consideration, only after formal agreements among these involved parties. Joint occupancy is provided for the use of the possession prior to the completion clause. As far as 52.236.11, the joint occupancy does not relieve the contractor in responsibility for complying with the terms of the contract. Joint occupancy should be discussed with the pre-performance conformance of the prisoner the presence of all contractors, if possible. The Air Force program manager needs to know the situation warrant with consideration for joint occupancy. They may be in the requirements for the Air Force of the contractor to install, test critical equipment, communications, computer, medical, etc., which must be operational before the facility can be beneficially occupied. Any another situation is a firm required to occupy the well-defined area with the sufficient completed with the accessible before the rest of the occupancy and complete. Therefore, there are many potential joint occupancy situations. All the situation must be weighed carefully before proceeding. The Air Force program manager also needs to know there is critical mission needed for the operational use of the facility and portion. They must also be used in the critical need for the data to increase, but the contingency should not be the justification for the joint occupancy. Take a careful, subjective look at the impact of overall project for the result of the joint occupancy, while the adversely affected the ability of the contractor to complete the remaining work of in the contract. Who will be the responsible cosmetic deficiencies while they occurring during the joint occupancy, and who will provide the basic operation and maintenance services that will be required. There are but a few numerous complications that typically will arise during the joint occupancy situation. Joint occupancy can be useful, but usually judicially. It's absolutely essential to have a joint occupancy agreement covering the particulars of the occupancy signed with the appropriate parties. Some of the specified of the joint occupancy agreement should be covered and included there. The areas involved, the critical times, the various areas, the government and the contractor, access to the operation, maintenance, responsibility, the phasing requirements, inspection requirements before and after occupancy, warranties. In general, the joint occupancy arrangement defines the responsibility and limitations of all parties concerning the construction, protection, and use of the areas to be jointly occupied with the joint occupancy agreement should be signed by the contractor, the construction agent, the base civil engineer, the major com, the user. The health facilities office should be signed by the joint occupancy agreement for the medical project. The Department of Defense 1354. The Department of Defense Form 1354 transfer acceptance for the military real property legally established method of transferring ownership of the government real property. The construction agent prepared the Department of Defense Form 1354 only in the areas inspected with required ready for the acceptance of the Air Force. The Air Force program management and the base civil engineering must ensure that all the punch list items identified during the pre-final and final inspections are corrected that have been properly noted and with the anticipated correction date of the back of the Department of Defense Form 1354 be before the time when all the work has been completed, including the punch list items. The construction agent should prepare the final the Department of Defense Form 1354 and submit the base civil engineer, and all base civil engineers assigned with the Department of Defense Form 1354 must be filled with the base real property records. Alright, E, facility acceptance and beneficial occupancy date. Final inspection in accordance with the completion of the Department of Defense Form 1354, the Air Force may accept the facility from the construction agency agent. The point marks for the date of the facility is ready for the occupancy user, and they refer to the beneficial occupancy date. Although the beneficial occupancy date normally occurs after all the construction final inspection has been completed, a partial beneficial occupancy date can take place and allow the user to vacate their specific scheduled construction immediately beginning with the performing part of the user mission. The partial beneficially occupancy date should be discouraged when partial occupancy serves no real advantage to the performance of the user mission. It is also closed for the issue of the warranties expiration. The major of the role of the Air Force program manager, the beneficiary occupancy date is to return all the funds except those required to prove the modification not yet executed. No funds will be held pending of the modifications pending claims. See Appendix 41 for the acceptance and the checklist. F. Warranty. The typical construction contract requires the contractor to warrant all the workmanship, the materials, equipment for the period of 1 year for the date of the substantial completion of the beneficial occupancy, whichever occurs first. In addition, the contractor may specify some of the work equipment with a warranty for the long period of the tax specific responsibility. Although the specific manufacturer warranties are not required specifications, but available to the contractor, choose the material allowed with the submittal. For example, the contractor's specific warranty items are window systems, roof of the membranes, and the HVAC equipment. The parts closed with the construction warranty, the 52-246-21, that the construction agent provided with the civil engineering composite list of all the warranties in effect for the construction work, along with the point of the contact telephone numbers in the event of the problem. Normally, this list is part of the contacts of Department of Defense Form 1354. The addition and having duplicated with the list of the warranty items make the distribution discussed and significantly easier. The as-built drawings. The contractor required to mark with one set of the contracting drawings specification the differences between the required of the contracting documentation and how the project was actually built. The difference should be included with not only with the contractor modification, and the difference with the contractor selection, materials, and installation techniques is marked up with the documentation and turned over to the construction agent with the incorporated noted difference. Either the original, usually Mylar drawings, mark up the drawings as built with the check of the construction agent to ensure that the accomplishment of the required time as built and with the drawings as approved by the base civil engineering. Most installation of the base drawing is digitalized with the storage of the retrieval through the computer-aided drafting and design of these situations. The original architectural engineer usually retained with the contractor mark of the documentation incorporated them onto the original documentation before digitalizing, ensuring the construction agent and design agent are working together to accomplish the updating, digitizing in a timely manner. Be sure to follow to see that the digitized records are turned over to the base civil engineering. 13. Extensively managed project. When managing a large and complex project, extra efforts may be required to ensure the construction agent manages the project, not just administrating the contracted data of the meetings discussed in Section 9 should be held with these projects. As charged with address with the following paragraphs need to be prepared with the construction agent for the discussion in monthly, quarterly meetings. A. The financial chart. All understanding where the project started, standing efficient financially. It takes 1 hour to understand the chart. Taking the time that is important for the Air Force program manager that knows how much money that has been allocated with the project, the balance for the management of the reserve, the contingency account. But the Air Force program management should also know the pending of the contract modification critical, which are merely desirable. A good Air Force program manager is both the good funds manager and architectural engineering who knows the construction practice and our Air Force policy. See Chapter 9 for further information on appropriated funds. B. The request for information chart. The request for information should be portrayed on the chart. Does not allow the construction agent to get behind in the answering requests for the information. The Air Force program manager can usually tell the contractor the position, the claim, and the number of the type of the request information submitted. B. Alert if there are many of such requests and they are ambiguous, such as the request send a different message that they are moderately amount of the straightforward as the construction agent about the oldest pending of the request information when that will be answered, and if there are several, ask about each one of them. Change order chart. The number of active change orders that are age or good indicators of the general health of the project. Do not allow the large backlogging changing orders to accumulate. If the construction agent cannot get the contractor to submitted with a timely fashion, then directed changes that should be initiated. The old changes to occur. Old changes are ordered in the Air Force to claim no matter what caused the delay. More importantly, the cause of the scheduled modification material delays generally complicate with the orderly process. An advantage for to ask the construction agent to start on construction project with the flowchart show how to each of the changing order will process the changing order management of the non-adequate. Ask about each of the change order where it stands in the process. Ask the next meeting to see how many of the progress. Best of all the world would not have changed orders, but seldom happens. If so, if it's necessary to manage the item, then properly change the orders or costs. So that it should be monitored with the construction agent, major com, base civil engineering, and the user to ensure the absolute necessary. D. Claim chart. If a claim is filed, the construction agent must provide with the ruling of the prudent amount of the time. Therefore, the claim is not to be remain visible after the claim is filed. It should remain part of the project financial exposure until it is settled. See Chapter 9 for further information on non-appropriated funds. Alright, CPM network schedule. The new construction project should have the scheduling network of the precedence network should be requested. The network should be a powerful tool and properly developed and should be developed collectively with the construction contractor project superintendent, all the major subcontractors and schedulers. The project superintendent's involvement in the facility commitment to managing the project schedule. The project construction project multiple facility system there had been with the CP network for each of the facility plus the master CPM integrated with all facilities system. Enlarged with the complicated facility is appropriate to ask the building system to the individual networks for the overall network tying everything together. Ensure the contractor describes the level schedule detail for the allowing of one way to do it. Level 1 total project with a single bar spacing with the time of from start to finish. Level 2 the scheduled display of the project with the major components. For example, the level 2 schedule of the process plant may be broken into processes, areas, storage, handling a site, and service the utilities as shown in the CPM and bar chart format should include key milestones. Level 3 each of the level level 2 components are further subdivided. For example, the utility system with the broken into water, electrical, gas, sanitary. This should be shown in the CPM and the bar graph in the with milestones. Level 4, the subdivision quantity of whatever the level the necessary to depict the project with the CM format. The schedule should be CPM formatted to communicate the CPM. The contractor should be provided with man-hour loaded bar charts to duplicate the work hours required between the nodes of the CPM and the level 2 and level 3 construction meeting of the CPM chart should be estimated in the actual dates. F. Design tree analysis, and ensure that the design agent provided with the correct language of the request for proposal, invitation for bid required with the pair bar graph of the CPM network. Go through the design tree analysis of each of the meeting through the identify the problems area that the construction agent needs to concentrate. The following table provides an example of decision tree analysis. The analysis tree. Total float and schedule performance index. The schedule performance index less than 1.0, schedule performance index greater than 1.0, critical paths headed with the schedule more work is being done as planned. Schedule performance index equal to 1.0, critical activities ahead of schedule, some shortfall work on non-critical activities. Schedule performance index less than 1.0, critical activities ahead, significant shortfall and work on non-critical activities. Case 2, total float equal to 0, special performance index greater than 1.0, critical activities scheduled, many of the work being done is then planned, critical path activities are headed with the schedule. Schedule performance index equal to 1.0, the critical activities are scheduled, total work volume on the schedule is planned. Schedule performance index less than 1.0. Critical activities on the schedule show shortfall work on non-critical activities. Hard case 3, total float less than 0.0. Schedule performance index, critical path that is being scheduled, total work of the volume is more than planned, index excess attention, non-critical work. Schedule performance index is equal to 1.0. Critical activities are work behind schedule. Total work volume is on schedule. Planning of the meeting is too much attention to non-critical work. Schedule performance index critical less than 1.0. Critical path activities behind schedule. Total work volume is less than or more than overall work effort is needed. Alright, G, actions item. The documentation action item is as they identified with the construction team meeting, assigned with the team meeting responsibility, suspensible date of the completion of the action item should be briefed, and as the start of each of the construction meeting with the monthly, with the quarterly meeting, the Air Force Program Manager should brief this chart with that each of the meeting all the parties should agree with the new action item to be added with the chart. The chart is extremely important to ensure the Air Force program is good and aligned with the responsibility or the construction agent. H, the special chart in LAN or CID, etc. in the facility with the construction and special elements for the local area and the networks and comprehensive interior design. Special security system, those items should be showed on the chart. That should be proposed the actual date on each of the major development installation milestones. The items can be easily made and become the pacing factors should be successfully managed, visible throughout the construction phase. L, preparing minutes. The Air Force Program Administrator should also prepare the published minutes of construction meetings, starting with the policy status, action items, responsible agents and minutes should be published within the 5 days of the meeting. Information started to deteriorate with non-published quickly after the meetings. 14, claims. Modifications made with the contractor after the award with the potential claim through the contractor. The contracting officer will represent the government in executing these changes. The most important thing to remember is that once the contractor is awarded the contracting term, the requirement is binding on both the government and the contract. Claims may be minimized with the proper planning with each of the problem recognition, resolution from the partner, and the use of the claims of advanced techniques, making the problem arise during the construction come with the indecision, poor planning the early in the project. The following list is provided with the insight with the guidance for the claims, the mitigation, and avoidance. Have the pre-acquisition strategy develop a delivery method, type of the number of the contract, delivery organization, the project scope that should be established before the design begins. The quality and the type of the contract documentation may vary substantially with the adequate positions chosen, scope definitions, conflicting specifications, sections most frequently occurring with the acquisition strategy, scope of the building system, selection change of the design, construction view that does not correct the resulting conflict conflicts. Using particular care with reviewing the user comments concerning the specific equipment, the functions of use of the office, requesting the contract and the modification to have the most up to date equipment in the project. The equipment changes the usually rest from the easy to show the delays because of the close action with the previously completed planned contract. The risk of the change of the technical improvement is very high, including the large language of the contract to choose the modification of the base time of the material of the grant, and all justify the request of the contractor the extension of the time, usually for the substantial reason for the not doing so. Further, the failure to issue the time extension will seldom result with the early job completion. Rather, that is most likely to result in the claims the accelerated performance of the work. Responsible extension for the time due to weather strikes or other delays the government does not have to compensate with the contractor should be granted when warranted. At the start of the job, required the contract to identify the advance with the government input that will be needed on items of the government furnished equipment, delivery dates, and the rough end data required for the data and contract to include the information for the project schedule. The action may be precluded later. A claim that the Air Force program manager failed to fulfill the responsibilities assigned under the claim. Resolve the claims in a timely manner. The contracting officer should normally render the decision within 60 days from the claims of $50,000, less than $15,000, and claims of error of admission be cautious with the architectural engineer not unduly protecting the position of at the expense of the government. Claims the resolution of the impact includes the prompt investigation of the situation, prompt response of all the contractor can notice for the notification change with the contract and condition. Claim later's intent to file the request of the time of the compensation. Resolve the modification claims as they occur at the end of the project. The government has little leverage over the contractor as most of the work has been completed. Most of the payments have been made to the contractor. Also, the contractor can more easily develop impact and delay the claims on a ripple effect and multiple changes with the resolution delay with the conclusion of the product. Keep the good records, particularly with the contractor manpower level today and part of the day the work areas where they work was performed. The records may be useful in an event with the delay, the acceleration and loss efficiency claim is submitted. These records should be the document error and the failing of by the contractor, and the contacting letters can place the contractor formally in the notice of defects. Usually detailed photographs and videos can really make a difference with the supplemented with the documentation. Modifications executed with the contractor for additional work with the compensation for the design error of the mission should be expressly stated with the contracting time not extended because of the work of the modification. In this case, for the situation, contractor to pay for the liability of the material cost to reserve the right to claim an additional compensation later for the delay, distribution, and loss of efficiency. May every responsible to negotiate such costs as a part of the notification. There may be even projects where the Air Force program manager must ask for the contracting officer also unilaterally determine the time of the compensation associated with the modification incurred with the uncooperative contractor. When claims are coming in, treat them in a business-like manner. Do not go hostile or close the communication channel with the contracting officer. The contractor might hinder subsequent notifications. Insist the contracting officer meet face-to-face with the contractor if the claim is not easily understood. If it seems the invalid, make sure the government attorney is involved immediately. Do not succumb to payment involved invalid claims just to get rid of them. See Chapter 9, further information, non-appropriated funds. Chapter 15, physical completion. Project completed becomes physically completed when the contracting agent certifies that the project is construction complete. All the deficiencies listed in the reverse side of the Department of Defense Form 1354 have been corrected. And the 16 final close out. The military construction is defined with the final close when the all costs of the applicable to military construction are required, but those costs included with the construction work estimate. The military construction project obligations have either been liquidated or canceled. All calculations, all accounts receivable pertaining with the military construction project are collected. The target financial closeout is 6 months for the CONOS project, for 12 months for the OCONOS project. The project period of the starts beneficial occupancy date with the user of the occupancy of the occupied. The facility ends for the date of the construction agent initiates the revocation directive to certifying the payment of the outstanding bills. Financial closeout enables the Air Force to withdraw surplus funds and complete the process of the new facility in the real property records in a timely manner. Working close with the major fund project with its contracting official agent, fiscal manager, complete the financial closeout. Although the Air Force goal is to reduce the closeout time, do not financially close out the project without outstanding construction deficiency, design deficiency. On the other hand, do not let the pending of the claims cannot be settled with the prescribed time period precluded with the financial closeout, or the construction agent retained with the funds for the potential claims, or for the pending of the claims to be acted upon with the appeals board. Monitor claims are remain the deficiencies and ensure that they any cause have a closeout date and resolved properly. See Chapter 9 for further information on non-appropriated funds. 17. Post-occupancy evaluation lesson learned. The contractor is required for the contractor to warn the project of the workmanship and material for 1 year. Perform the post-occupancy evaluation during the 9th and 11th month period of the beneficial occupancy, noting that any of all defective work reported all the construction deficiency, the construction agent, the correction of the contractor, documentate the problem and mistakes that were made during the design, and give the information to the design agent to review the other similar project. The post-occupancy evaluation team should include the construction agent, user, and the civil engineering and the Air Force program manager. Chapter 8, the design, building, and facility acquisition.